vision is to educate, empower, and change the global cannabis narrative. Michael has experience as a cultivator, legacy caregiver, and mental health clinician. He's also a native of Los Angeles, California, and I'm a native of Oakland, California, who witnessed the evolution of the cannabis industry with the passage of California Proposition 215, which permitted the use of medical cannabis. Michael holds a bachelor's degree from Morehouse College and a master's of science in clinical mental health counseling from Mercer University. While studying clinical mental health, Michael discovered endocannabinoid system and developed a deeper understanding of the therapeutic value of the cannabis plant. Michael soon realized the majority of medical professionals, consumers, and cannabis manufacturers were not familiar with the contemporary science behind medical cannabis. Michael Lawson, Jr.
All right, thank everybody for coming. We are just honored to share our knowledge and experience with you, hoping that it can improve your life and your family's lives in some form or fashion. Thank you so much for that introduction. I would say my journey arriving to this point, a pivotal moment for me was when I was in grad school studying clinical mental health and the endocannabinoid system, which is one of the systems of the human body that regulates really our whole quality of life, right? Pain, memory, sleep, energy, all of these mood, all of these things really impact the quality of our day, the quality of our week, the quality of our life. But more importantly, I started to understand that the cannabis plant was tremendously misunderstood in the academic world and in the professional world. So I found myself working in the criminal justice system as a therapist, having to explain to judges why my clients are on probation, facing prison time, but they continue to smoke cannabis. They're not tripping on failing the drug test. And so I had to educate a lot of judges in the courtroom, judges who would tolerate me and my message, because not everybody was friendly to the message. But I found myself in places and spaces that didn't understand cannabis and were not very friendly. So I left the criminal justice system, I left the school system and started Cannabis Media Collective. I educate cannabis naive patients, I educate cannabis patients that have been using cannabis for 20 plus years. And so, like Dr. Hodge said, that there's so much to learn about cannabis across the lifespan. Children can use it, our grandparents can use it, and everybody in between. And there's so even people who have been around the plant, using the plant, the science is evolving so fast, and research is starting to happen in a way that we're finding out so much more about how we can benefit from this plant. And so my focus mainly is mental health. How do we use this plant to support our mind, body, and spirit? My philosophy is that we use this plant to impact various ailments we have, either physiologically, whether that's chronic pain, or on a mental health level, whether that's anxiety or sleep. I'm a huge proponent of my clients using cannabis to help them improve their sleep. Right, our sleep is the cornerstone of our health. If our sleep is not well, then more likely we're not well. And so that's a little bit about what I do. I don't want to take
Next Morehouse program. Come on, first.
Oh yeah, so I also have I have an education program at Morehouse College called Cannabis Legislation. We educate the students on really how to make the connection between their discipline that they're studying and how to make it into the cannabis industry, because there are tremendous opportunities outside of cultivation and dispensary ownership, right? So for our students out there who, whether they're marketing, arts, finance, design, architecture, et cetera, there's a place and a space for them in the industry. And also, Cannabis Legislation Club is shifting more into the community as well, focusing on not so much the college population, but just young adults in general in terms of workforce development, right? It's $1 trillion industry that's growing right under our noses. And there's a tremendous windfall that's going to be coming to Georgia when you're talking about cultivation. Well, in cultivation, you need lights, electricians, HVAC, plumbers, brick masons, designers, architects, transport people. It's a whole infrastructure that supports the industry, and we need to get involved with that. So I do a lot of advocacy work behind the scenes, the city, with the mayor on that front as well, because that's super important to make sure that we have an infrastructure set up so our young people can come into this new $1 trillion industry. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Michael. I mean, and you're absolutely right. And what he just described was a whole workforce. We can create a whole workforce in cannabis. And what I've been doing for the last 2 years going across my district is people talk about the dispensaries. I want a dispensary in our city, like from the city council, and we want a dispensary, That's great, but it's the more technological part that I'm trying to get to. So if the sheriff pulls you over, he doesn't have the ability to test you in the field. We need to create those testing devices. We need to be creating those testing devices. We need to be making money off of the equipment. That's what I'm looking at for us. And so we need to have our scientists. We need to have our labs. Right now, is it just one lab? Is it just waiting and making? You know, we need one in South Carolina County. You know, so we need to be looking further than just a dispensary or rolling up cannabis. We need to look at this as a workforce, and the amount of money that we can make is generational. We can create generational wealth through cannabis. And next we have Miss Felicia Dawson, Dr. Felicia Dawson. Dr. Dawson, come and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm a little bit of laryngitis, so I apologize for the strain of my voice. I am a obstetrician gynecologist. I also have expertise in holistic integrative medicine. I love teaching people how much power they have over their health. And in 2013, that's when I, along with a lot of Americans, learned about cannabis as medicine from Dr. Sanjay Gupta with his Weed documentary. That was completely not what I was taught in medical school. And so I was intrigued to learn more about cannabis, and so I did. And as I was doing that, I was becoming gradually disenchanted with the business of medicine. And I closed my practice after serving the women of Georgia for about 30 years in 2016 to focus all of my energy on advocating and educating about cannabis as medicine. I'm also very much wanting to point out the problems that we have with the research on cannabis in pregnancy, because as you know, it is discouraged to use cannabis in pregnancy, although women have been using cannabis for thousands of years safely before, during, and after pregnancy. My goal in the next couple of years is to point out to my fellow healthcare practitioners why the research that we have on cannabis in pregnancy is not meaningful. It has a lot of errors. It doesn't take into effect a lot of confounders, socioeconomics, synthetics that were used to test with, multiple drugs that people were using, and you know, there's lots of things that can cause poor outcomes in pregnancy, like environmental toxins, like depression, like lead in waters. Like, you know, we think about Flint, Michigan, but there are like over 3,000 Flint, Michigans in America. And some of these cities have 4 times the amount of lead that Flint has. So there's a lot of things that can cause a poor outcome in a pregnancy that's being put on cannabis. And my job is to help pull all that baggage off of cannabis, because it's a safe medicine plant that women can use, everyone can use. It can replace, on average, 5 medications, and that's why it's really good for seniors. And so that's my goal, is to work on that, as well as trying to get down the maternal mortality rate, which is continuing to rise. And Georgia's like next to last place in the country, and I want to do my part to help take better care of our women.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Felicia Dawson, and you're absolutely right about the lead. I mean, Georgia has a horrible issue with lead. In October 2024, we're supposed to have a I mean, we just look at the school systems and the lead pipes, but that's just a whole nother piece. But I had a water bill this session, HR 10, and one of the main reasons were because of the toxins and the lead that I did that water bill, and it was for disadvantaged communities, and the opposing party, I'm Democrat, so the opposing party, wanted to take that word disadvantage out of the piece of legislation, and, I was going to be amenable to that if we can get that passed, because I know we can still do the work without that word. And they actually did get it to a point where we could move it forward, but once I finished the hearing, they basically said I indicted EPA. And it wasn't really an indictment on EPA, it was an indictment on the environmental issues in our communities and was killing us, but that's a whole nother story.